The perils of a secret relationship. I kissed Jack goodbye as I sneaked out of the window, but he pulled me back, promising it's the last time. He engulfed me in a loving, warm hug and kissed the temple of my forehead. "Good night, Charlie," he said. "Good night, babe," I replied back, finally leaving him in his room and jumping out of the window, trying my best to not be seen by anyone, especially Arson. By now, I am habitual to sneaking game, but still, the fear of getting caught by Arson, my best friend, scares me, till this day. Not when he doesn't know that I am gay, and definitely not that I am dating his own brother, that he doesn't like that, too, for the last 3 years. I safely made it out of the main gate and got in my car to drive back home. Flashback. We all sang the cringiest happy birthday song for Arson, and everyone laughed to it. We were all having the time of our lives until I noticed a faint figure on the balcony. I immediately knew who it was and excused myself from the gathering to approach him. I was right. It was Jack, Arson's older brother. Even though he is just by a year, there isn't much friendship between them. Rather, they're complete opposites. Yet my heart loves them both. Arson has been my best friend since childhood, and Jake has been my crush since I was 14 years old. But this has been the only secret that Arson doesn't know about. I walked in the balcony and saw him standing while drinking the beer. "Hey, Jack," I said. "Oh, Charlie," he replied in his deep, raspy voice that never fails to impress me. "What are you doing here, standing all alone? Come inside and join us," I said. "No, you all enjoy. I'm not in the mood. Plus, I'm sure he doesn't want me there," he replied back, and he was right. I'm also sure that Arson prefers him not being there, but the reason is still very unclear to him. Every time I ask him about his hatred for his brother, he gets angry. So I never question him on this. "Actually, let me give you some company. It's too crowded in there anyways," I said, hoping he wouldn't ask me to leave again. "Alright," he said, and I stood next to him, happily. We were just standing in the dark staring at the city view until he placed his hands on the railing, and it touched mine. I smiled openly and decided it was time. "Jack, I have to tell you something," I said, knowing either it's going to be the best thing of my life or it's going to be the worst heartbreak ever. "Yeah?" he said. "I like you," I replied without looking at him, but I could see him turn his face at me really quickly, and he smiled. In fact, he laughed, and I was confused. I thought he was laughing at me for saying that I like him, and I was embarrassed until he said, "Finally, you said it. I don't know how you held it that long." "What do you mean? You knew?" I asked him. "You really thought I wouldn't notice you coming to our house way more than ever and asking me to teach you the subject you already excel in? All of a sudden, you started supporting a team I like even though you and Arson hated them since childhood? You thought I wouldn't know that you purposely left your jacket in the car when we went for the game so you could have mine?" he said, smirking while I couldn't even make eye contact with him. "Okay, you know too much," I told him, as I was feeling shy. "I should know at least this much about someone I like," he said, making me shocked. This was the last thing I expected to happen today. "What?" I almost screamed. "Yes," he chuckled. "I like you too." End of flashback. It's been 3 years since then, and we have never looked back at anything. A lot of people say that love stays alive only for a while, and it's all gone once the honeymoon phase is over. But it's nothing like that for us. Our love is still fresh and exciting, as it was before. Even though some days have been hard, while we had to pretend like strangers because of Arson. It's all fine as long as we stay with each other. I woke up the next morning with a sudden call. It was Arson. "Get ready fast, Sophie's coming to pick us up," he said, and it made me annoyed. He keeps on trying to bring Sophie in my life, some or other way, even though I've told him multiple times I'm not interested in her. He keeps on pursuing me to date her as he thinks she is the perfect woman for me, when he doesn't know that no woman is perfect for me. I am gay. I cut the call and groaned loudly. I got up to get ready and went out when I heard the car honk. "Morning, sleepyhead," Arson said. "STFU," I replied, giving him a smile. "Hey," Sophie said. "Hey," I replied. She was a nice girl, so I didn't feel like being rude with her, cause it's Arson who was pushing her towards me, even though I have a feeling that he might be into me. We reached school and I saw Jack getting out of his car. "You all park, I don't want to see you guys having another fight over parking," I excused myself as I got out of the car. I rushed at Jack and caught him before he could get in completely. I pulled him back by his collar and kissed him. "Hey, good morning, babe," he said, kissing me back. "Let's go before they come," I said, and he held my hand, pulling me out of there. We entered the hallway and I could see some people around. I noticed if anyone was seeing us or not, then I planted a kiss on his cheek, quickly, which took him off guard, and winked at him before running to my class. I saw Arson already in the class. Where were you? He asked. Washroom, I replied, and sat on my seat. Our class went just like any other day, and was almost over. I forgot about going home. How will we ever go back? Sophie has some work, he said, looking at me because he knows I'm about to shout at him. This is why I said let me come on my own, and I don't want to depend on anyone. Had you listened to me, I would have had my bike right now, I said. I know, he said. You know what? I saw Jack coming in his car. I'm gonna ask him for a lift, I said. No way, I'm coming, he replied immediately. Okay, don't be an arsehole now. We have no other choice and I'm not walking 5 miles, I said firmly. He didn't argue back. I will sit in front, don't worry, I said, reassuring him, knowing it's a win-win for me. As we walked a bit, we saw Jack getting in his car. I ran towards him and he was surprised to see me there with Arson. What are you guys doing here? Can you please drop me on your way? What happened to your vehicle? He asked indirectly, looking at Arson. We had a lift in the morning from Sophie. As I mentioned the name, his reaction changed all of a sudden. He knows how Arson is trying to set me up with Sophie, and Jack doesn't like it. He thinks I might actually get persuaded by Arson and end up with Sophie, but I know it's never going to happen. Get in, he said with a straight face. As I was getting in, Arson sat in the back, while he turned to adjust his seat. I quickly planted a kiss on Jack's cheeks to reassure him that nothing will happen between me and Sophie. He smiled and started driving. I'm getting serious about Jack day by day, and we have been dating for the last 3 years, so I want to make it official, but there is nothing I can do. Especially when Jack himself told me not to say anything, knowing how badly Arson will react. On the other hand, Arson nowadays is taking all my time, leaving me not even 10 minutes to be with Jack. He either wants to talk about some girl for himself or Sophie. For the last 2 weeks, I've been feeling a lot of pressure to maintain a balance between my friendship and my relationship, and the pressure is just building up and up. It's Jack's game today, and he has asked me to come, and even got me one of the best seat tickets, but Arson wants to go out with me today to watch another match. Even though I've cancelled the plan with Arson in the past to be with Jack. This time I also tried to cancel it, but Arson was firm that he wants me there today, at any cost, which I couldn't refuse and went along with him while standing up Jack the night before his game. Somehow, Jack got to know that the reason why I stood him up today was that I went to watch another team's match that he hates, but Arson loves, and now they both have to fight against each other. This made Jack extremely frustrated, and he came straight to me to talk this out. Why didn't you come? He asked. I'm sorry, Jack, I was with Arson. We made a plan before. Yeah, you had plans to go to support my rival team, and now they have qualified, and we have a match together, he said in anger. I know he is your rival, but I didn't want to go. I tried putting my points in, but he didn't look like it was going to work. I needed my cheerleader before the game, but he was busy cheering for my enemy, he continued, with a lot of anger and aggression. Jack, I know I'm wrong. I'm sorry for that, but the game was important to Arson, I told him. And this game was important to me, he said. The conversation got heated until I lost my cool and told, I can't do this anymore. What? He replied, shocked. I'm sorry, Jack, but I can't do this anymore. I'm struggling between you both every day, and yet I'm not able to get enough of you, so it's better we put a stop to this now, I said, everything with an open heart. I don't have anything to say right now. It looks like you have made a decision, without even thinking about talking to me, so I will lessen your burden. Goodbye, Charlie, he said, and left. I fell on my knees there itself and started crying. I could see his eyes getting teary before he turned his face and went away. I know I will regret this for the rest of my life, but I had to make a choice sooner or later, and I couldn't give up on Arson, so I had to give up on my relationship with Jack and my happiness. 3 weeks later. It's been quite some time since he and I broke up, but I am a mess now. I forgot to live without him in the past 3 years, and now it feels like the world is blue for me. Whereas my friendship with Arson has grown, what I think, we started hanging out more and he's happy about it, even though he doesn't know that it kills me from inside to not be with Jack. But it doesn't stop there. He has asked me to date Sophie every single day in the last 3 weeks, and just how I gave up on my relationship, I gave up on him, and now I'm dating Sophie. As much as I hate myself for this, I wasn't able to do anything about it. Arson is very happy that I agreed on this decision, but he doesn't even know that I'm gay. And I am least interested in Sophie or in any other girl for that matter. And what's worse I'm doing is I know I'm breaking 2 more hearts right after I broke Jack's. Hey, why do you look like you haven't slept in days? Arson asked me as we were sitting in the basketball court after school got over. Is Sophie keeping you up all night? I knew it, he said and started laughing. No, Arson, there's nothing like that. Oh, it's okay. I'm your best friend. You can tell me these things. After all, I'm also your wingman, he said without stopping his long ear-to-ear long smile. Anyways, are you coming for the match, right? He asked. What match? I asked him back. Bro, I told you yesterday I got us tickets. I don't remember. Sorry, I said awkwardly. What's up with you? I told this literally yesterday and I texted you about it this morning. Dude, something is off. You are zoning out a lot, barely replying to my texts, and as far as I know, Sophie couldn't be the reason behind this. Because she's also told me the same thing, that you're not texting her back. No, there's nothing like that. I'm alright, I replied, still not completely focused. But he didn't stop asking me those questions, and the more and more he was dragging this, the more it reminded me of Jack. And I couldn't hold it back, but cry. Arson was in shock seeing me like this. He didn't know what to do, as he never saw me like this before. And I'm sure seeing me cry like this scared him. What happened? He asked, but I couldn't reply. Charlie, what the hell is going on? He asked again. Jack. And like that I told him every single thing. He was in utter shock, but also in anger. I was waiting for his reply, but the first thing I heard was, Sophie? I looked at him and saw where his eyes were pointing at. I turned behind and saw Sophie standing there in disbelief. I can't believe he did that. I know he can't see me happy and wants everything that's supposed to be mine. He said that angrily and stomped his feet out of the court in anger. I had no energy left in me to fight him, but more than going behind me, I knew I had a bigger responsibility and I owe Sophie an explanation. Sophie, please listen to me, I said, and she walked towards me. I'm so sorry, Sophie. I should have told you everything from the start. Instead, I gave you false hopes and committed myself to you. I apologized to her. She kept her head down while listening to me quietly, holding the urge not to cry. She looked into my eyes once in a while to test my sincerity. In the end, she accepted my apology, but what I didn't expect from her was that she was helping me, even after what I did. Don't worry about me. I know this relationship was forced on you anyways, she told me. No, it's not that way. You are the sweetest girl I know, Sophie, and I shouldn't have done that to you and Arson, I replied back. Give him some time. He will be fine. We can all see how miserable you are. So go get Jack back, she told with a lot of sincerity in her voice. And that was the kind of reassurance I needed at that moment. I gave her a hug immediately, and she hugged me back, patting my back, but soon I heard noises from outside, which sounded like someone was fighting. We immediately understood what it could be and broke the hug. We both rushed outside and I saw that I was afraid of. Arson was holding Jack by his collar and shouting at him, saying the meanest things ever, until Jack pushed him back and walked away from there. I could see how humiliated he felt that time. I didn't know what to do. Go after Jack, I will handle Arson, Sophie said, pushing me towards Jack, so I ran behind him, calling out his name to stop. Jack, please, just listen to me for once. I kept asking him to stop, but he didn't budge. I ran as fast as I could to get a hold of him and stopped him. Jack, listen to what, Charlie? Was that not enough? Jack, I had no idea, I told him. Oh yeah, but I have an idea. That was all your plan. To come in a relationship with me, get close to me, make me dependent on you, make me fall in love with you, then harass me and humiliate me publicly? As if at home, Arson doesn't do it enough? You both planned on doing it publicly also, he said, making me confused about what all he thought and was saying. Jack, it's not true. No one planned on anything. Is it? Then how come you're already dating Sophie when it's just been 3 weeks since we broke up? Oh wait, since you broke up with me, he said, exaggerating the last sentence. It's all a misunderstanding, Jack, and you're misunderstanding me as well. I tried explaining, but he cut me off by saying, I've had enough of this, Charlie, and I've had enough of you. I will never forgive you and Arson for today, he said, and left without wasting another second. I stood there, still intimidated by his reaction, and unable to know how to tell him the truth. But what hurts the most is seeing Marin walking towards him, and he stood by his car, opened the door for her, and they drove away while he looked at me with nothing else but hatred. I don't know where Marin came from all of a sudden, and Jack knows if there is anything that I don't like, it's Marin, because of her bullying kids for entertainment. Marin and Jack have been friends for a few years, but now I have known her since before, and Jack is aware of my feelings towards her, yet he is hanging out with her, even though we broke up. To what I could understand, maybe he is doing it all to get back at me for dating Sophie. That's the only reason that makes sense to me. But the problem is Marin will try her best to manipulate Jack against me. I can't even go to Arson and express how shit I feel right now, because he is one of the reasons why I feel this way. But I can't let him get away with it, so I went back to confront him. When I saw him, he wasn't even looking guilty. Instead, he was laughing, standing with a bunch of other people, as if he did not insult his own brother in public and made a fool out of his best friend. I went to them, and I don't know what took over me that I punched him in his face. Everyone around us was shocked. Arson was about to raise his hand at me until Sophie came in the middle to stop us both and took him away. I felt like a mess, so I rode back home immediately and went to my bed. Tears started falling down on its own, and I knew now that I'm all alone, when I need someone the most. A week later, I haven't spoken to anyone in the past week, nor did I go to school. My parents and everyone is worried about me, but I don't really care. I don't have energy to face anyone, especially Arson. I haven't checked my phone, but I know I have 100 plus calls and texts. I got up from my bed as I heard some noise coming. My parents weren't home, so I wondered who it could be. As I walked down the stairs, I saw Arson sitting on the sofa by himself. "What are you doing here?" I asked him. "Charlie, can we talk?" he replied without answering my question. "Go back to school, Arson," I told him, avoiding the question. He just asked, "Charlie, please forgive me. I know it's all my fault. I overreacted and I made it all about me," he said. It did sound like a sincere apology, but I was beyond hurt. That day, Sophie spoke to me and made me understand that even though you and I have been friends since childhood, it doesn't mean you and I will always be the same. And that includes liking people I don't like at all, he continued. "But what, Arson? What makes you hate him so much that you had to humiliate him in front of the entire college?" I finally asked him not to worry about the outcome. Now that I think about it, it makes me feel stupid. As a kid, I always thought my parents loved him more because he's better in academics than me. They would always appreciate him and even get him whatever he wanted, but would always scold me if I asked for anything. They always compared us, which I hated the most. I thought he stole my parents away from me, and when I got to know that you were dating him since the last 3 years, I thought he's stealing you away from me now, which made me act the way I should never have, and I'm really sorry for it, Charlie. He told everything honestly, and I was stunned by the truth. All my anger flew away, and I just looked at him. "I'll forgive you, even though you were wrong, but at least you know that you were wrong." "But what about Jack? He should be the one to apologize to," I told him. "I know, and I will do it. I'm too ashamed to face him right now," he said, and I nodded my head. "Just give me one more day and I will sort it out," he said, reassuring me. "Just mean what you say," I told him, and he left after that. I was glad that he apologized, but also worried about how Jack would react. Hours passed, and it was almost midnight when I got the call from Arson. I picked it up. I told him everything, why I hated him, why I humiliated him, and how sorry and guilty I am for his behavior, he said. "Okay, and did he forgive you?" I asked worriedly. "He said he needs some time, and asked me to leave him alone," Arson replied. "Okay, don't worry, it'll be fine," I told him before cutting the call. Next morning, I decided to go to school because at least I have my friend back now. But I was not impressed by the sight I saw when I entered the school. It was Marin getting out of Jack's car. My blood rushed and I walked towards them. Before I could say anything, Marin told me, "We have an important class right now. We'll talk later, okay?" With that, she left me there, and Jack didn't even say a word. I scoffed and went to my class. As my class got over, I went near my bike, only to find Jack standing there, luckily without Marin being there. "Jack," I said softly. "Charlie, let's talk," he asked, and I nodded. Arson told me the truth. He told me that he had no idea about us dating until that day, and that his jealousy got the best of him, and he was the one who forced you to date Sophie. And I also know that you told her the truth and broke up with her. He shared the conversation he had with Arson, and it makes me feel less burdened now. "I'm sorry I didn't listen to you before," he continued. "No, I'm sorry. I should have spoken to you before putting the whole breakup thing," I replied. "Whatever Arson said is not leaving my head, and I feel guilty for assuming so much and blaming you for everything. I want to get back with you, Charlie," he said, making me feel happy. "I want that too, Jack. Every day since we broke up. I hope for us to get back together," I told the truth. "But the thing is, it won't be easy trusting you completely." "I will take my time," he said. "I have no problem. Take as much time as you want." "All I want is you with me," I said, and he smiled. We hugged. "And one more thing, don't hang out with Marin," I said, and we both chuckled. We broke the hug and he pulled me into a deep, loving, warm kiss, where our tears mixed together, and we smiled on each other's lips while kissing. Arson saw us from far, and I saw him shoving the thumbs up to me, and I lifted my thumbs up for him back. Conclusion. Jack and Charlie came back together, this time openly to everyone. Everyone accepted them as well. It did take time for Jack to trust back Charlie, and Arson completely. But soon enough, Charlie earned that trust back. Jack graduated a year before Charlie and decided to move to another city for his job. The same place where Charlie will be joining his college in. He even got a bigger place to live in so he and Charlie can live together and enjoy the time with each other they never got. This love story was full of drama between lovers and best friends, and the fight to save both or lose both. Charlie was able to win both his boyfriend and best friend, and also mend the relationship between the two. The end. Do you think Arson has accepted their relationship wholeheartedly? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force, and stay wholesome.